Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. It's been a while, but it's your gal, Juliberry. We're back. We're back in the old setup with some new additional friends. How are we? How are we? Hello, everyone. I already see we got Cadence Lee, Nova, first time chatter. Oh, Geneva. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Violent, Pepper, Nelly, first time chatter, Phoenix Dragon. Hello, Christy May. How's it going, y'all? Agent Sparks. Where thought you literally saw me earlier this weekend. You absolute muffin. And a tiny Clover. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be back. Well, the music's a little loud on my end. How are we? How are we doing? I sense in the air that we need some good vibes right now, because Lord knows I need them too.
8 months pog.
Yo, Nova coming with a resub 8 months. Thank you so much. You absolute legend. Hello, Cup O Teal. Hello, hello. Teal! Hello! Oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry for the lack of streaming, guys. As soon as I got back from TwitchCon, I just went headfirst straight into homecoming weekend, and that kind of took up some time. Good vibe SBI time. Yeah, I missed y'all too. Oh my goodness. If y'all were I know we went live during TwitchCon, so that was very exciting. I know I talked about it a lot there, but we can talk about TwitchCon really fast. Well, what do y'all want to know? I mean, I got to see so many people. I got noticed, which was very exciting, by Teal and their friend Echo. How was homecoming? Oh, it was so much fun. My sorority turned 102, so we celebrated the centennial we were supposed to celebrate 2 years ago, which was our homecoming 100th anniversary. And I don't know if y'all follow me on Twitter, but I posted some pics. Here, wait, I can show you one of the pics of me in my dress. This, I was feeling myself. You always manage to show up when overwhelming days happen. How was it like to be at TwitchCon? Absolutely surreal. Oh my goodness. It was insane. I would just be standing in line, and next you know, I'd see Jellybean walk in front of me. I'd be like, yo, you don't know me, but I moderate for Angelic Mochi. And they're like, oh my gosh, I love Angelic. Shout out to me and Echo for hanging out with you for 2 hours before knowing it was you. No, literally, it was so funny. Because it's like, oh, all these people in the community, like, you just, like, oh, you don't have to know my name. You just know that we like the same stuff. And then it'd be like, oh, wait, you're that person. I'd be like, yeah, I'm on TikTok, and I do the reedy fanfic streamy things. Oh, my goodness. So you look so pretty. Thank you. It broke 30 minutes after that picture was taken. Those straps were apparently held together by plastic little things to, like, tighten the straps. And I leaned over to hug my friend over their chair, and it just pop. And I was like, oh, no. So I broke the other one off, and I tied it in the back like a knot. It was very smart of me. Like, there's the thing tied in the back. Yeah, I tied it in the back. Thank you, Aquamarine, for teaching me how to fix dresses. Phoenix Dragon, thank you so much for the sub. Tier 1, you absolute legend. Thank you so much for that. Yes, slay. Innovation. But yeah, we got some really fun picks. We won our homecoming football game. Yo, that happened to my friend at prom too. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. You're welcome. Aw. Appreciate y'all. Guys, Arby! Arby, watch the turtle show. Yo, how was meeting Filza? Oh my gosh, I met Filza. You look pretty. Thank you so much, Christy May. That means a lot. Yeah, I've been watching Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can thank Danny for that. And Siri. So, that happened. But yeah, meeting Filza. Bro. Looking back at it now, I wish I had said more things, but of course I didn't want to overwhelm him with stuff. It's me. You never know. But like, I still haven't seen it yet, Lamal. Oh, it's so worth it. It's so good. I highly recommend. But no, Phil was so sweet. I got one of his little bracelets. Julie in line while waiting. Oh my goodness. I was so nervous, but I ended up doing really good. It's so good. Yep. I love it so much. Let me think. What else happened? I shook a lot of people's hands, and I really want to make that vlog. So hopefully we'll get a vlog out soon. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube already... The muffin? Hold on. The things aren't working. The commands aren't working. This is so sussy. So yeah, make sure, yep, they aren't working. Hold on. To log in. Uh-oh. Go to dashboard. Cloudbot. It's turned off. That's why. Okay. Try now. What the muffin? RB is here. Yay, it worked! I got it. Cloudbot was turned off. But yes, RB is here. All of our friends are here. So, today I shall endorse you in some lovely, lovely one-shots. I got permission from the Barry Australis to read this fic. And lockergirl already gave me permission to read her fanfics on my stream. So, the video of you and Purpled. Oh my goodness, yes! Purpled and I played rock, paper, scissors on the escalator. That was so funny. Better be in that vlog. Oh, of course it's gonna be in the vlog. We love one-shots? Yes. We love one-shots. We love them. We love them. But yes, also, I noticed that we've had some offline followers. So if you're not in the Discord already, be sure to join there. I always post little updates on everything that I post. We also do fic recs in there, as well as talk about, you know, stuff. I made a new thing for writing, so you can talk about like AU stuff, or you can post snippets of something you're writing, post incomplete works, or post finished works, or rec fanfics, the whole shebang. You can find everything in there, from my boundaries to little info things about me as a person. So excited for one shot, even though it's 11 on a school night. It is a school night. I apologize for that. Danny is messaging me through TikTok of all things. Yay! Oh my goodness. Can we start a Tommy quote before we start? Of course we can. Because guys, I got my Tommy quote book. So, if you want to do a little Tommy quote thing, yes, I love the channel, I use it a lot. Yes, you do. Alright. Let's, okay. I'm gonna go get the quote book. I thought this would be a very fun little channel point thing to do that we read. Coffee shop and tailor shop was all I was supposed to do as a fanfic. Can you please just put it in fic recs. I might just read it offline. Alright. Nova, since you redeemed it, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 208. Pick a number between 1 and 208. You can say 69. We're all thinking it. Yep. I knew you would. Okay. I am a genius. Someone please clip that. That's a TikTok right there. Okay. 55, 58, 62, 67. One more. 69. Should I read it in my voice or in Tommy's voice? Should I read it in my voice or Tommy's voice? Tommy's? Okay. Let me pause the music. Hello, the hidden mask child. Hello, hello. Tommy's? Alright. Phil, your kindness is a detriment. One day I will use you. Both? Okay, I'll read it in my voice too. Phil, your kindness is a detriment. One day I will use you. Tommy, and it says. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Also, do you like the new background setup? I got more stuff. Yep. You gotta explain the pic. What's the pic? What's the pick? It says the World of Phil, open 24 hours. I'll always remember that 4 to 4 stream is my comfort. My heart. Oh my goodness. We're here not to think about the sad times. We're here to think about the good times. Y'all want to read some? You play the guitar? That is actually a ukulele. I did play the guitar in the 5th grade. I have not. Yo, I convinced you to buy that print. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I also have my Wally prints, the ones that I got for my birthday last year, on this wall, and then the ones that I bought. Julie, nice to see you streaming again. I'm so happy to be streaming again. I've missed being able to talk to you guys. But without further ado, we're gonna start reading some stuff. It's not a game that's loading. We're reading fan fiction, obvi. Window capture. Alright. Yes. Yes! I think you guys are really gonna like this one. Your room stream show is so pretty. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let's put on the lore playlist. Yes. Okay. Bum bum bum. Foster AU? Oh, you're already reading the tags. Yes, it is. Lol, you should make a fic loading screen. I should. Oh, that'd be a lot to change in just a little bit though. Foster AU? Yeah, it's a Foster AU. Make sure I got my water. Yep, it's this one. I got permission from Barry. Should I make a tweet? Fic loading screen? Well, Nelly, I would just use your freaking fan art for that one, bestie. Have y'all seen that? Hold on. Hold on. I need y'all to see this, because it means a lot to me. Meow. Meow. Where is it? I know it's here because I put it here. Maybe I am just blind. Ooh, this is... I think I am blind. What the muffin? Where is it? Nelly, where's the... Oh, I found it. Have you seen Nelly's doodle layout? It's so cute. What fixture? You'll redo it? You're gonna redo it? What? Oh my goodness. Alright, reset, transform. Ah! Look! Look at this! It's me! And it's reading to you guys. You must go to sleep. Good night. Good night, Violent. Thank you so much for popping in for a little bit. Also, first time chatter, Emotional Bear. Hello, welcome, welcome. Oh wait, I can shrink it. Yay! Look at this. It's so cute! That's you guys. You're the little berry boys on my shoulder. I'm the one on your shoulder. Yeah, so that it's so cute. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's even the thing for my podcast, which I have not done anything for. I am sorry. I said I would work on it, and then I got overwhelmed. First time chatter, Red Spider Lily. Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Yeah, that's my hand. That's patting you. I'm patting you, Nelly. All right, but we're gonna get into this. I've been talking for too long. But yes, we're gonna start reading some fan fiction. All right, I'll make sure my volume's turned up a little bit. That's turned down a little bit lower. Aww. Yes, all the Nelly hearts. Podcast? Cat! Hello! Hello, hello! Cat Ocean, the author of Full Throttle. He's in my Twitch chat. Hold on, I have to text Danny. Danny, I know but Cat is in my Twitch chat. Fangirling right now. Just don't do that. No! I want to. Danny will be like, oh my god! Celeb appearance. Cat. When Full Throttle gets finished, I will read it on stream. All these famous fic writers, first the Pinkman, then Timelapse, now Full Throttle. Dude! Timelapse? Don't even get me started. I love that fic. Author of Full Throttle. Yes! We have a celebrity. Anyways, okay. It's time to read some Angel Duo. Guys, I love Angel Duo. Julie's a charmer? Stop it. I gotta practice my fills on Minecraft. No, that's Wilbur. Hermit. Hello, mate. That's Tommy. Okay, why is the music still loud for me? The intro is going so hard in my ears right now. Alright. I feel bad I keep pronouncing their name. If I keep pronouncing it. Hello, my spooky. Hello, hello. Alright. So yes, this is a foster AU. Foster care, foster parent, emotional hurt / comfort, misunderstandings, miscommunications, insecure, Tommy in it has abandonment issues, Tommy needs a hug, angst with a happy ending. Jazz hands. What's happening today? Tommy Tuesday, baby. Wilbur, Soot, and Technoblade, and Tommy and it are siblings. My favorite tag. Sleepy Boys as family. Found family 5 times 1 shot. I love those. It's a modern setting. Tommy-centric. No archive warnings apply. So we don't have to worry about MCD. Always come when it's angsty fix and it upsets me. Oh no, this one's happy. I promise. I've read this one like 3 times. It's so good. Alright, I gotta get in serious lore mode. Broken and Loving Regardless by Barry Australis. Australis? I always feel bad that I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Tommy didn't know what he'd done wrong. He had lived with his foster family for over a year now. He had a cake and party for his birthday, Christmas presents. He'd been included. But never once did Phil call him his son. He was never referred to as his child. Never a real part of the family. So he tried his hardest to get Phil to call him that, even if it meant becoming something other than himself. 5 times Tommy tries to be Phil's son, plus 1 time he found out he didn't have to try. Oh, this fic I hold so near and dear to my heart, but I hope you guys enjoy. Sit back, relax, grab a snack, comfort yourself with a pillow, blanket, whatever you need. Let's get into it, yeah. Tommy didn't always have this insecurity. He never used to second guess everything he did in relation to an unsaid phrase he didn't know he longed for. He wasn't riddled with doubt or hatred. All distressed because of an emptiness lay in the tracks of words he never saw trains run over. That was until he noticed. The realization struck him in the first month of his first year with the crafts. It was an evening event for Phil's work where he could bring his family, and of course, Tommy was invited. Phil helped with his tie whilst Whoa, hold on. Phil helped with his tie whilst Wilbur laughed and Techno kept his tucked in to avoid going through that. It was nice that night. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've read to you guys. It was nice that night. He sat next to his foster brothers, kicking them under the table whenever the room had to be silent for announcements or work-related speeches. Phil had to pretend he wasn't amused at their antics and reprehended them when his boss gave him a look. But then the introductions came. These are my sons. Wilbur, Techno. Wait. Wilbur and Techno, Phil had said to his coworker, gesturing to them with his hands. Then he paused, a hesitation only Tommy seemed to catch, along with a slight twitch of his face. And this is Tommy. He waited for more. He waited for the additional words, a confirmation he was unaware his heart had his heart always sang for, to be introduced like Wilbur and Techno, Phil's biological children. Tommy waited, and yet nothing came. There wasn't a follow-up of, "This is my other son," or "my youngest child." He was just Tommy. As if there was no attachment between him and the three people on his left and right. Phil spoke no words to bring light to how this was the Tommy who Wilbur had a special smile reserved for, the Tommy that Techno let borrow his stuff knowing that he'd never see those sweaters again, or the Tommy who Phil always drooped his favorite jacket over whenever he fell asleep on the sofa. Instead, Phil let his coworker respond, allowing this new insecurity to seethe. Thank you for the hydrate. It had been a week since then. A week of watching, listening, and trying to figure out what made him so different. To see why he was kid, whilst Wilbur and Techno got called son. He didn't do anything differently to his foster brothers. Sure, they were here longer, but neither of them knew the names of the birds Phil had taken to feeding in the garden, or Phil's pizza order. It was only Tommy who got that laugh out of Phil. The wheeze where he'd hit his hand against the table. He was a special part of this house. It wouldn't function without him. He made sure Wilbur got out of bed when...
Hey, it's me, Julie, the devil. I'm here to convince you to do sin.
Hello, Jack Beef. Thank you so much for the tier 1 resub for 17 months. Oh my lord. Hey, it's me, the devil. I'm here to convince you to do sin. I love that. This is... Oh my gosh, wait, you watched it. You watched this. You watched the Sonic fandom. You watched it. It's me, Shadow, the devil. I'm here to convince you to do sin. I am the devil from the Bible, so. Oh my goodness. Sonic fandub, my beloved. Agreed, Cadence. Agreed. Oh my goodness. Alright, we're gonna get back into it. But thank you again. Thank you again for the resub, Jack. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, man. He made sure Wilbur got out of bed when he was too far into his head some days. He was loud, so Techno didn't feel all eyes on him when he least wanted it. And with Phil, Tommy hoped he was enough. Enough to be loved, enough to be valued, enough to be his son. The idea sprang to him when Phil sat beside him on the sofa. He had his phone in his hand, probably being senile on Notes app or texting the school counselor, Kristen, who he swore he didn't have a crush on. Tommy jumped to sit beside him, bouncing with the sofa cushions with his landing. Yes, Phil said, amused at Tommy's dramatic entrance. Play Minecraft with me, he demanded as he grabbed the controllers he'd need to do so. As long as it's not hardcore. Why not? I don't want to get heartburn this afternoon, Phil scoffed and continued before Tommy could defend himself. Don't look offended. You will fatally injure my health, especially with all that shit you pull in the game already. Tommy grinned at him. This was what he wanted. To bring normalcy between them. To encourage domesticity. Oh my goodness. How do I pronounce this word? Domesticity. What? I'm gonna get this word. Hold on. Domesticity. Okay. Domesticity. Domesticity. Is that how you do it? Domesticating sounds right. Domesticality. I know how to pronounce that. Domesticity. It sounds like you were trying to say don't mess with me. Oh. Domestic. for the emphasis. Domesticity. Domesticity. What? Domesticity. To bring normalcy between them, to encourage domesticity, so Phil would slip and call him what he yearned to hear. Was that it? Did I do it? It's okay, Queen, take your time. Clip that. Oh my god. I did it? Yay! I did it. Okay, cool. This is going on the YouTube channel. A for effort. Keck W. Yes, thank you. I make it fun. Phil faltered for a moment and a smile beamed on him. You do, he agreed. A brief silence followed. We'll play on normal. The afternoon was filled with Tommy attempting to increase Phil's heart levels, to maybe induce a small cardiac arrest or something of the sort in spite. He shoved the other so Phil lost focus in the mines and got called a little shit, but it was with the affectionate tone and a quick smiling glance in his direction. They squabbled, argued, and laughed. Yet, there was still an underlying motive beneath it all that wouldn't let Tommy sit at ease. It was why he gravitated toward Phil every time he began a sentence, hoping that a certain word will be included in it. That maybe, "Can you grab that iron for me?" would end with "son." But it held no voice. The yearn was never fulfilled or satisfied, remained empty and alone. The front door bursting open disturbed his thoughts. He sat up, shoulders uneasy for a different reason. Wilbur stumbled into the front room, red in the face and breathless. He dashed to steady himself on the unused sofa, gasping and panicking. Phil immediately went to him. They all knew the signs. It was one of Wilbur's anxiety attacks. Hey, it's okay. Just breathe, son. It hit him. Just for a moment, he was alone in the room. He wasn't distressed over making sure Wilbur was okay, not thinking about retrieving that stuffed sheep toy Wilbur kept in his closet that Tommy knew comforted him. He was alone in a room made to hurt him because it stung. It stung so bad to hear that word and know it will never be addressed to him. It will never be about him. Only Wilbur, only Techno. Never him because he was undeserving and he didn't know why. Jealousy followed in the shadow of the ache, then disgust right after. Because his brother was in pain, Wilbur couldn't breathe, but Tommy was so concerned with himself. He pushed it down. The hurt, the burning that ran up his neck. He stomached it and left to get that sheep toy to then push it onto Wilbur's lap. He grabbed a water bottle and stayed next to Phil as they calmed Wilbur down. Because this wasn't about him. It just hurt that the word son wasn't about him either. Ooh. Ouch. That hurt. Emotion check. How we feeling? Youch. Yep. That was painful. Okay, I will watch that. Julie likes making me cry? Oh my goodness. This isn't me. This is Barry, what we're talking about here. Do you realize I don't read enough Angel Duo? Time to fix that. Please read more Angel Duo. It's Danny and I's favorite duo at the moment. Oh, thank you for clipping that, Nelly. I see you. Sad. Yep. Feeling great? Good to hear, Mask. Alright, we're on to... Oh, I hit the mic. I'm sorry. We're on to 2 now. Who is Angel Duo? Angel Duo is the duo name between Philza and Tommy in it. Angel Duo is literally the best. I'll have to recommend y'all Cat's Patient AU. It's an Origins series that I love. Cat, I'm gonna tell you this, I recommended that AU to Invader Beck. If y'all know who Invader Beck is one of Philza's VIPs. And we send each other TikToks. Julie. Cat. 5 times 1 fix always make me cry violently. That's such a mood. Origins fix? Yeah. Hand that over? Dude, say less. Gotta go to my subscriptions because I'm What the muffin? Am I not connected to the Wi-Fi? Take 2. Uh-oh. She can't get to freaking AO3? No one panic. Okay, we're back. The angst was too much. No, it can never be too much. Gotta go down to user subscribe. Julie famous art slash Julie. Julie's already famous? Just stop. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there you are. Internet among us right now. No, literally. Not in the eyes. I'm still trying to read Bloodlines. I'm on like chapter 11. I downloaded it to read on the plane and then I didn't because I was reading Full Throttle. There's your patience, AU. Boop. Famous Berry. Angel Duo took the Wi-Fi out. They're too wholesome, man. They're too wholesome. Alright, here we go. I'm kind of hungry. I might eat ramen after this stream. Tommy knocked on Techno's room because the last time he walked in unannounced, a throwing knife almost hit him in the head. There was a dent in the doorframe to serve as a reminder of that day. Regardless, he knocked because he had an idea. If Techno and Wilbur were part of this family, then Tommy just had to do what they did. He had to replicate the activities they shared with Phil, what inside jokes, traditions, and memories. He needed to learn and apply them to himself so he'd be better, to ensure that the next time Phil saw him, he would see his own child. When beckoned to, Tommy pushed open the door to see Techno at his computer desk. He was playing that Bannerlord game Tommy could never understand for the life of him, despite Techno's many, many attempts to explain it to him. What do you want now? You're supposed to greet people nicely. Techno gave him a look. You're not a person to me. Then what am I? A pest that comes here to steal things from me and then leaves it in a mess. He couldn't defend himself there. Techno grinned at the silence and whatever expression made itself onto Tommy's face. I'm in the middle of something, so what's up? Tommy went silent. He didn't know how exactly to word this. He was unusually quick to words, blunt what he wanted, and confident in his ability to be awkwardly social instead of socially awkward. But this, he couldn't voice it properly. His want for Techno to outright tell him what was wrong with him, what he lacked could improve on, and what he was missing so that the term son didn't apply to him. Techno could be critical when he wanted, harsh without heat, honest. And honesty was what Tommy needed. How do I get Phil to like me? Techno's grin dropped. Everything seemed to drop, really. His face twisted into something of concern and confusion. He paused his game and faced him fully in his chair. Oh, he looked serious. Reiterate. How? Tommy stopped himself. Because he didn't know how to say this. To convey that he needed to know what he can do so he can finally get the father he craved. For someone to be his dad and actually want to be it. What are things Phil likes that you two do together? Techno narrowed his eyes. That's a different question. I don't know how to say this, he exclaimed, frustrated. Do you think Dad doesn't like you? No. Maybe. Stayed left unsaid. Try that again, but make it sound like you believe yourself. Because it's true. He likes you. He likes you being here. He wanted to scream at him, to yell so his heart doesn't hurt to beat this fast. Because why didn't it feel like that? Why am I not his son? Why is a single word keeping me from belonging? Though all his screams stayed in his head, piling up as he bit on his tongue. Tell me things you do with Phil, he whispered after his silence, gulping down anything he was too much of a coward to voice aloud. And Techno did. He told him of the inside jokes he shared with Phil, that even if his dad faced the littlest bit of danger, Techno would rush to protect him. He explained how Phil bought him emerald earrings that he matched with his own emerald jeweled necklace. The jewelry stuck out to Tommy. The idea of matching with someone. He liked that. To have something in common, something physical that you wouldn't take off. A constant reminder of the idea. The solution only arose at Techno's next fencing tournament. It was at some venue with a gift shop, a very prestigious and Tory place. Tommy absently wondered why they let an American with pink hair in the venue to begin with. Anyway, there was a gift shop, and Tommy stopped in front of the jewelry section. They had the bracelets that you tie once around your wrist and never take off. Tommy needed that. An annoying state of permanence with Phil. He found 2 wristbands that had similar patterns to the hardcore hearts on Phil's favorite jacket. It was perfect. He hoped that 2 matching wristbands were enough. Phil stood next to the stands, facing away from him. Just as Tommy went to tap him on the shoulder, Phil turned even further from him to talk to Techno, who Tommy hadn't noticed was there until now. Techno's hands shook, pre-tournament nerves obvious in his trembling. He overheard their conversation, the usual advice Phil gave him before a match to instill confidence in Techno. But Tommy focused on that one particular thing Phil told him and clung to it. "You're my son, okay? Very stubborn. You got that from your mother. So you're gonna kick their asses today, alright?" Tommy swallowed roughly. A lodge heaved in his throat, an uncomfortable buildup that may turn into sick or a dry sob. Because maybe that was it. He didn't share the same mother as Techno and Wilbur. He wasn't related by blood. He may have blonde hair in a similar shade to Phil's, but these mirrored features reflected no love. They held no weight. It was a stale blonde, a blue too light to be generic. It was a stale blonde, a blue too light to be genetic. He wasn't enough of what made him him. His biology, his genes. It was out of his control. Whilst Techno left, nodding at Phil's words as they brought him the relief and reassurance he needed, those same words tore Tommy down. Phil turned. "Oh, Tommy. Didn't see you there. Ready to sit down?" The gift bag in his hands turned to lead. Stones lay in that bag instead of wristbands that he wanted to be theirs. Quickly he hid it behind his back and followed Phil to the stands. He wasn't sure if he wanted to give it to him now or even at all. Fear pounded at him that the gift would be rejected, even though Phil would never do that. So he watched. He watched Techno fight and ignored the sweet dampening his hands as he yearned to shove the gift bag into Phil's lap. But he ignored it all for now. He made small comments about how shit Techno's opponents were, things to make Phil laugh under his breath and get in trouble with the audience when silence was preferred. During the break, he didn't realize he had been fiddling with the bag. "What you've got there?" He stilled. Phil's eyes were glued onto the paper bag, so he couldn't exactly lie about its existence. One's for you." He placed it in Phil's hands, hoping he didn't focus on how much he shook. Phil opened it. It didn't take long for his mouth to gape with a smile. "Aw, thanks, mate." "Bless you." My roommate sneezed. "Aw, thanks, mate." Mate. It shouldn't hurt this much. It was something Phil said regularly to Wilbur, to Techno, to anyone really. But it wasn't the phrase he wanted, especially as Phil smiled even wider to put on the wristband. Tommy sighed, disappointed. He hoped his happiness wasn't too fake, as he didn't want to ruin this day for Techno, to make it about himself. Oh, there's a second one in here. It's for me, he wanted to say, but the words died in his throat. He didn't move, didn't speak, scared that maybe Phil would say he'd give it to Wilbur or Techno instead of him. Yet the wristband was put into Tommy's hands. "We can match." Pain ripped at his heart. This was what he wanted. He wanted this to match, to be a part of this family. And he had it practically and physically in the palm of his hand, but it still wasn't enough. It didn't confirm anything to his insecurity that kept building inside of him, yelling that this didn't mean he belonged. It still continued to feed on his slouched shoulders and dry mouth. Despite this, the corner of his top lip twitched. It wasn't exactly a smile, but something close to it as Phil carefully knotted the wristband around his wrist. A badly done knot. Too tight, yet it meant he could never take it off. And he never planned to. That one kind of had me tearing up a little bit, guys. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like I said, I've read this like 3 times now. Yet reading it out loud just makes it hurt. Like, even more. How are we doing, chat? How are we doing? Sorry, I'm reading some DMs. That hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. Ouchie. Y'all are good. Phil, just call Tommy your son. God damn it. If that bracelet falls off at any point, I will sob. It's okay. The bracelet isn't really mentioned again. It hurts so good. Slay. Ooh, this music is not helping. What is that a lion? Hype cry? That's a thing? Oh my goodness. Alright, we're gonna keep reading though. If Techno's advice was useless, then maybe copying Wilbur would work. He did this anyway, with Wilbur's style, his music taste, even the way he did his hair. It hadn't failed him before, so perhaps it was worth a shot. He followed Wilbur around. This time he was more critical in how he watched him and his interactions with Phil. He observed how Wilbur made the same jokes, references to past things, like a boiler room blowing up or eating various inedible substances, to make Phil laugh at the most inconvenient times. He saw how Phil was interested in Wilbur's hobbies, especially his recent one of creating ecosystems in jars. He thought he was subtle about it until Wilbur confronted him. Did I do something? Tommy frowned.
What? No. Unless you did do something, and this is your attempt to trick me into guessing it. When really you know what you did and want me to forget.
Never say that many words to me again, Wilbur interrupted, blinking at whatever had just left Tommy's mouth. But no, you keep glaring at me. Did I do something? He thought for a moment. See, right there, you're glaring.
This is my thinking face, Wilbur.
He deadpanned. I didn't know you were capable of thoughts. Tommy whacked him on the arm. Then why are you thinking that hard when you were watching me at breakfast? You just kept glaring. At Dad, too. Tommy bit his cheek. He could make an excuse, but he didn't want to lie to Wilbur about this.
I'm conducting an unethical experiment, and you are my participant,
he said, lying. Don't tell me the aim, then. Participant bias and all that. It needs to be as scientific as possible, Wilbur replied. He nodded.
Agreed.
All right. Good luck to you with it. Update me when it ends. Wilbur then ruffled his hair. He yelped and ducked away before Wilbur could mess up his hair even more than he already did. For the rest of the day, he tried to indulge in Phil's hobbies. Apparently, Phil liked when Wilbur told him about his own hobbies, so maybe this would work. Phil enjoyed gardening. He liked feeding the birds and pretending he knew what flowers he had just planted. Tommy joined him and made it a game to guess the flower species.
I named that one Mud,
he said, pointing at the purple flower. Phil looked up from where he had just shoveled a hole for a new batch of seeds. Tommy, mud already exists.
No, mud.
That doesn't mud. Phil sighed, exasperated. All right, fine. This purple flower's Latin name is mud.
You're not saying it properly,
he retorted teasingly. Water then hit him straight in the face as Phil sprayed the hose at him. It was nice. This afternoon between them, Phil crouched down with him so they could plant things. He helped him do it all correctly and taught him tricks in case he wanted to do it by himself in the future. As he watered the seeds they had finished burying, there was a flower beside them that stood out to him.
What's that one?
He asked. Phil stopped to look at the yellow flower. It looked like a rose, but it wasn't shaped entirely like one. Tomculus. That was a Wilbur voice, my bad. Tomcul. Harmate. Tomculus, Phil said, word foreign on his tongue.
That is not Latin.
It's made up Latin.
Combining it with what?
Tommy asked with a laugh. You and ranunculus. Is that how you pronounce it? Any plant of the genus ranunculus, the buttercup, or crowfoot. Oh, crows. I wonder if Barry did that on purpose. He glanced back down at the growing flower. How the how the yellow petals had hints of white. Some petals were creased and ripped, but they still were pretty. Complete. You could see the signs of imperfection, yet it didn't override the brightness of the yellow, the appeal. It looked like laughter, a fresh smile, and the flowers reminded Phil of him.
Well, if I was really a flower, I'd be a rose so I could prick you to death.
He stuttered out, the tips of his eyes flushing red. Phil chuckled and shook his head.
I would. Wait.
That's still Tommy.
I would. You'd pick up a Tommy flower, and knives would stab you from the stem.
He made Phil laugh harder, and the redness on his ears burned. Phil moved on to the next flower, but the prior movement never left Tommy. That something so peaceful and nice reminded Phil of him. Yet this buzzing in his chest twisted into a burdened pressure the movement the evening hit. When Phil wished him good night in his bed, it was just that. No following words. Nothing. He didn't address Tommy as something he tried so hard that entire day to relay. It wasn't until Wilbur knocked on his door that it broke. He did this all for nothing.
It didn't work,
he muttered, something wet brimming in his eyes. The experiment? The reminder of the lie pushed him. Tears dripped down his face, and he didn't mean to be loud. He didn't mean to sob, so Phil heard him across the hallway. Phil entered the room. Oh, nightmare. A nightmare. That was what this was. A nightmare, but instead of fighting for consciousness, for it to end with a gasping wake-up call, Tommy wanted to sleep and never face reality. The reality that as much as he viewed Phil as his dad, it'd never be the same. He'd never be seen as a son, as someone's child, or even loved.
Yeah,
he whispered, voice dry and hoarse.
Just a nightmare.
Phil kissed his forehead and brushed the hair off his forehead. He smiled so caringly down at him, a smile for a son. And yet it was towards him. Want me to stay a while? He caved and nodded. When Wilbur went back to his room, Tommy clung to this moment. He hoped to memorize every detail so he'd relive it when he'd aged out of the system and wouldn't be here anymore. He'd be 18 and no longer a child. No longer someone Phil wanted to look after. Tommy mesmerized the hand-rubbing patterns into his back, the light humming, and the other arm curled around him. He clutched at the sight of Phil resting against the wood of Tommy's bed frame, basking in his calming presence, reminding him he wasn't alone in the dark. He memorized it because he didn't want it to be taken away, even though he was the reason it eventually would be. Ow. Ouchie. That shit hurted. Oh my goodness. How are we, friends? How are we? My heart? I know, man. Pain? Trademark? You can't trademark pain. I mean, you could try, but I mean, you'd have to go through lots of legal stuff. all the feelings. I'm so hungry right now. I'm gonna text my roommate, see if we have leftovers. I'm gonna leave y'all on a cliffhanger. Good news, chat. There are leftovers in the fridge. I wasn't gone for that long. Jeez. We're only on 4. We have 4, 5, and then +1. And we're only 52 minutes into the stream. We might have time for a second one. Because I already have one picked out. Yay. Alright. Sadness. All the pain.
I am British. I am Tommy in it.
Hermit. Hello, I'm Technoblade. Wilbur, I'm Wilbursut. That's how I warm up, guys. That's how we warm up here on the Juliberry channel. Those are my SBI impressions. And then Kristen, I guess I can try and do Kristen. Hi, I'm Mumza. I don't know. I can't really. Just for my voice impression for Kristen, I just sound female. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. Julie getting in a character makes me giggle. I live for the entertainment. I live to entertain. Darlings. Oh! Ugh. Man, water's good. Alright. Part 4. Ugly thoughts followed him from that day on. He may have feigned his tears. Wow. He may have feigned his tears as a nightmare, but now he lived it. He lived in the reminders that he wasn't good enough, that 2 others who slept in rooms not far from him were what he needed to be, but he just couldn't. It didn't take long for him to conduct a new plan to get Phil to view him as his son. It was to be better than everyone. Better than Wilbur, who sometimes didn't clean up after himself in the kitchen and had fits of anger anyone could be on the receiving end of. Better than Techno, who rarely hauled himself out of his room and had the tendency to ignore small talk. Better than himself, who talked too much, took too much, and didn't realize when to stop. So Tommy tried. He tried to be everything but himself. A better version that Phil would accept. For the entire day he was quiet. He smiled with more force, maybe too much force as it hurt his cheeks. He doesn't kick Wilbur under the table during breakfast or steal off Techno's plate. He even set up the table with Phil, quick to do it before him just to get an appreciative thank you. He did the washing up, helped clean, and doesn't whine for Phil to change the TV channel. I just want to stop and say hi. Hello, Clover. Hello, hello. He might have held back tears when no one questioned his silence, but if this was preferred, then maybe it was what he needed to do from the start. Yeah. Maybe everyone liked him this way too. Yet it was in the evening when it changed. Are you okay, Tom? Phil asked as the two cleaned up the dinner table. He gritted his teeth. Tom, Tommy, kid, kiddo, mate. It wasn't the word he fucking wanted. And he was trying so hard to be anything but himself in case he was the problem. If he was what was in the way... If he was what was in the way of achieving what he wanted. Fine, he whispered, swallowing after his throat cracked. You sure? Phil shuffled closer. He did that thing he learned to do with Tommy from the beginning when he was adverse to touch rather than accepting. The hesitated action. A hanging offer for an arm to be wrapped around him that he didn't need to accept. All he'd have to do was nod to accept the hug, the touch. Yet now Tommy turned his head to face away. Yeah, fine, he mumbled, even quieter than before. But with the way Phil frowned, it seemed the quiet wasn't what he wanted. Tommy wasn't even sure now what Phil wanted at all, but it definitely wasn't him. Okay, part 5. Tommy continued with his silence. He continued suppressing his own personality and became a blank slate, hoping Phil liked the color gray. Oh, wait. Hoping Phil liked the clean color gray. Yet the anger and frustration beneath him grew loud. It was volcanic almost, lava festering between rocks and volcanoes, underneath everything, where you couldn't quite feel the heat yet. Not until it split open. Not until it split over and exploded. Tommy didn't know that this explosion would come with him punching a classmate in the face. He didn't even know his name, but he was annoying. The boy kept pushing him during class, flicking things into his hair, so he snapped. That anger redirected into streams of red and molten fumes. It poured out of him as he pinned the boy to the floor, punching and punching, making that magma bleed through his knuckles and echo in the blood dripping from the boy's broken nose. He didn't stop until someone dragged him away. He kicked and screamed, the anger still flooding, still running. All that frustration streamed out of him. The quiet tears at night heaved as loud as ever. The silent desire to have a father who wanted him now evident in broken bones his wrecked knuckles had havocated. Havocked. I'm sorry. The silent desire to have a father who wanted him now evident in broken bones his wrecked knuckles had havocked. Is that how you say that? Yeah, I think that is how you say that. I'm so smart, guys. But he didn't feel better. It didn't disappear. His loneliness, the longing for something he'd never have. If anything, he felt worse. Worse as his back rested against those stupid chairs in the principal's office. An ice pack that wasn't even that cold laid in his hands. His principal rang up the phone and then spoke when it reached the caller. I'm going to try that sentence again. I need it to be more smooth. His principal rang up the phone and then spoke when it reached the caller. I'm here with your son. Tommy froze. He couldn't hear Phil's reaction through the phone. He didn't know if there was a scoff on the other end, a correction of, Wilbur and Techno aren't registered in the school anymore. Who are you talking about? He didn't know if there was denial that Tommy was his son, but the weak side of him, the side that dried with socks as lava hit water, it believed Phil immediately knew it was about him. That Phil recognized him as his son. That yes, Tommy, his son, what about him? Is he okay? What's wrong with my son? But he didn't hear Phil's reaction. He doesn't know. His principal nodded, and 15 minutes later Phil walked into the office. He looked serious, like he always did when there were meetings with teachers. So unlike the easy smiles he constantly threw Tommy's way at home, his principal cleared his throat. So, your son. Tommy didn't care to hear the rest of it, his ears ringing as he turned to face Phil. There was no reaction here either. No nod of confirmation to the principal's words, no frown to deny. It was a blank stare. And somehow that hurt more. Because he keened to it. He loved it. Because he keened to it. He loved when it left his principal's mouth and floated in the air, the clarification that it wasn't only him that saw Phil as his father. He got detention after his fight at school, and Tommy told himself that was why he cried himself to sleep, not because of Phil's lack of reaction, not because of that. Guys, we're at the +1. We're at the +1. Okay. Sorry, I just have to share my love for Leonardo. Bum, 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 bum. You hate tears? Pat, you'll be okay. Finally. I need more water. It's time to get emotional. Time to act out a sad British child. that semester of theater class in the 7th grade is really gonna kick in here, guys. Arby, shut up. Leave me alone. Okay. Is Leo your fave? Yeah. In Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yeah, he's my fave. He's the blue character. It was after his knuckles had healed that Phil proposed they cooked something tonight. Just the two of them. Reminiscent of an old tradition they had. Arby, shut up. You say that as if you weren't already playing a sad British child for the past 45 minutes. Okay, fair. Julie's abandoning you all for turtles? No, I'm not. Shut up. I'm gonna reread this first section now. I saw someone compared Mikey and Tommy, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna grow attached. Yeah, you will. Mikey is Danny's favorite. Leo's my favorite because he's the angstiest, I guess. Got distracted by Tommy Tuesday. It's okay, Emmy. Oh my goodness, Emmy's gonna be here, guys. Don't worry. Okay. I'm hearing noises in my ears. It's fine. It was after his what the muffin?
I am here. I was watching Turtles.
Emmy, thank you for the resub. 8 months. Holy moly. Thank you, thank you. Arby, we're gonna get you to watch Turtles, I swear. We're gonna get you to watch Turtles. You're gonna be one of us. The whole the server, the E's, we're gonna become a turtle thing. They won't stop harassing me about Turtle. We're gonna get you to watch Turtles. Gosh darn it. Alright. Enough about Turtles. Let's get back to SBI, okay? The real 4 out of 4. Watch the Teetles Arbiter. Mutant. Wait, what is the meme? Mutant meanage needle Teetles. Anyways. I'm not gonna just despite y'all. How dare you? Come on, we have to make sure Tommy's okay, guys. +1. 6 plus +1. It was after his knuckles had healed that Phil proposed they cook something tonight. Just the two of them. Reminiscent of an old tradition they had. On Thursday evenings when Techno's fencing training ran late oh, okay, wait. I read that wrong. On Thursday evenings when Techno's fencing training ran late and Wilbur had band practices, Phil and Tommy randomly picked a page from a cookbook and set themselves to make it. He thought that if anything, this tradition meant he was a part of the family. He had something, consistency in the form of a weekly tradition. But it still wasn't enough. Nothing he did or stood for was enough. Can you watch the pot so it doesn't overflow? It's flow over. Wow. Can you watch the pot so it doesn't flow over? Phil asked as he cut up the carrots on the chopping board. He nodded and went towards the hob. Phil hadn't really spoken to him about his fight at school, besides tending to his knuckles when they got home and asking if the other boy deserved it. Tommy reached to move the handle of the pot, but grabbed too close to the rim. He winced, pulling his hand back as the heat burned him. Phil immediately stopped what he was doing and walked over. And it confused him, because it was so obvious Phil cared. Phil cared as he bandaged his knuckles last week. He cared as he now made sure his hand was okay, but he still didn't say it. "Do you even want me?" he whispered as tears welled in his eyes. He wasn't sure if it was from the burn or another ache in his chest. Phil looked up from his hand, eyes wide. "What?" Tommy gulped. "Why am I here if you don't want me?" Phil's face furrowed. He matched Tommy's own confusion, yet this only made that magma inside him simmer once more. What are you talking about? I've done everything! I've done it all! I've tried to be like Wilbur, like Techno, then anyone but myself, and still nothing! He inhaled sharply. "You don't want me." Silence struck the room, and Tommy desperately wanted to fill it so no thoughts ripped him apart.
Why don't you treat me the same as them?
He kept pushing.
Am I not good enough for you?
What? Of course you are. What's this about? Phil interrupted, stepping closer despite Tommy's insistence to be far away. He sounded so fucking earnest, innocently confused, and Tommy hated it.
Why don't you call me your son?
With his last word, Tommy's chest squeezed. Oh. Phil exhaled. Tommy faltered. That was not how Phil was supposed to respond. Tommy,
what did I do wrong?
He spat out, trying to force words out to delay hearing Phil's explanation because he despised the grief on his face.
You extended the foster contract. You kept me. You kept me here even longer than anyone else has. You don't tell me I'm annoying. You come to my parents' evenings, even put my grades up on the fridge. You wish me good night every single night, and you let me stay.
He sniffed, not realizing he was crying. Hot tears dripped off his chin, a wave of sad anger that fading as his voice crumpled.
Was it all for nothing?
It rang in the air. The waiting. Tommy held onto himself because it was all he had. I didn't think you'd want me to, Phil said at last. He faltered.
What?
Phil stepped forward once more, and Tommy didn't walk backwards this time. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable, push you into something you didn't want, Phil said, voice wavering with what should be confidence, but instead was pain. You never called me Dad, so I thought you didn't see me like that.
Of course you're my dad,
he yelled, each breath burning him.
You're Phil! You're the one fucking person who listens to me and doesn't send me away. The only adult I actually fucking trust.
He sobbed into himself, breathing becoming hard. Why wouldn't I want you to be my dad? He asked, quieter, tears following in his silence. Phil rubbed at his face and pinched the bridge of his nose. Fuck. Neither spoke after that. Not for a while. The pot on the hob lay boiling. Vegetables were uncut, because all that mattered were the heaving exhales between the two of them, anger depleting into exhaustion. Tommy was just so tired. Phil moved, and Tommy recognized his hesitation. Tommy, you're a part of this family, Phil whispered, blue eyes soaked in a mirrored pain. You're my son. You never needed to prove yourself or do anything more than you already do. I would have said it before, even months ago, because you are my son. And that was all he wanted to hear. It seemed so simple to accept. These words were the confirmation that struck him down, and Phil's arms wrapping around him rebuilt him up. It wasn't his fault. It was never a matter of his personality lacking something that his foster brothers thrived on. It wasn't him. He sobbed into his chest, buried his face into Phil's shirt because this was so simple. I'm so sorry, Phil kept repeating as he hugged him close. It was his dad. It was his dad holding him. He had a dad, a father who wanted him. Finally, I love you, okay? I love you so fucking much.
I just wanted to hear you say it, and
his words broke off with rapid inhales because it was all too much. It was what he wanted, and now it was here. He couldn't believe it was true. Right in front of him. Real. I'm saying it now, and I'll never stop saying it because it will always be true. Phil kissed the top of his head. You became a son to me the moment you told Wilbur his haircut was shit, you know that? On the first day of your visit. You made even Techno laugh, who hates first introductions. You were so nervous, hiding behind your social worker's leg, but then you made us all laugh and you smiled a bit, then stepped closer, and I saw you. I saw Tommy, my son. Tommy laughed wetly into his shirt, dampening it, but neither cared. I just wish you knew I always thought that sooner. He smiled despite how his lips trembled.
Well, I know now.
Good. They stayed there for a while, holding each other. Tommy submitted it to memory, but it was different now because he knew it wouldn't be taken away. He wasn't remembering for the cold nights in the future when it was no longer there. Instead, he cherished it, knowing that it wouldn't be taken from him.
Can I start calling you my dad now then?
He asked quietly, looking up at him, still tucked close to Phil's side. More tears perkled at Phil's eyes. I'd love you too. And so he did, and never stopped.
Coming for my kneecaps?
Hold on, wait, I gotta make sure. Leave kudos. I've already left kudos here.
Leave more!
Leave more kudos. Did I leave a comment here already? I better have. I think I did. What the muffin? He better have adopted him? I bet he did. Yo, it's Dale. First time chatter. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I left a comment here. I always leave comments. Unless I didn't. Then I have failed as a fanfic reader. There's so many. Okay, I have to be on page 2 then. I don't think I left a comment, guys. Oh. I have failed as a fanfic reader. I have failed. I'm crying. This is so good. I'm emotional. I mean, are you actually crying? Who actually cried? Type 1 if you actually cried. Oh my god. Nelly! Oh my gosh. I was already in the field. Oh, Nelly. Nelly. I blow kisses in your directions. You better catch them. Oh my goodness. We got lots of ones in the chat. Oh my goodness. Hmm. $100 out of 10. 10 out of 10 gave a stunning performance. Oh, thank you. I missed some. I'll just rewatch it later. I had to go to work. You're totally fine, Christy. You're totally fine. This will be... I think I'm going to make this a separate... I think I'm going to make this a YouTube video. So, you'll be good. Okay. It made it even better that I was doing plant art. Oh my goodness. Why are you still crying? Dude, okay. Things that I liked about the... I'm surprised I can make my voice crack. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, we finished this and need to head to bed. Good night, Teal. Good night. I'm reading something after this. And will it have lots of fluff? Yes, it will, actually. It's Babybur. I hope you'll like Babybur. This is my 3rd time reading this. It's so much speaking. Go into my feels 10 out of 10. Let me do how you write them. Check credit while I read this. Boom. Juliberry, the surprise actor. I know, guys. I surprise even myself. We're reading something by Lockergirl. We love Lockergirl. And it's short. It's short and sweet because I need to get to bed. Guys. I don't know if y'all have seen Tam's sweet, sweet little comic. Hold on. This. Have y'all seen this? Well, that's the last of the firewood. I can't take you out in this storm. Technoblade. Sorry to disturb you while you hibernate, but I need firewood. Can I leave Will with you for a bit? Yeah. Never mind, I stay for this one. Okay, cool. Look at the baby. He's the baby boy. Never moves in his sleep. Thanks, mate. I'll be back in a few. Bye. Alright, I have a pile started outside, but this should be enough for tonight. You saw this one last night? Bro. Why are you up? Shaking his wings out. Phil. Phil, there was a baby in my bed. Yep. Where did it come from, Philza? It's my baby. Phil's baby? Phil's baby? Infant? Huh? Baby? Dadza? Ah, look at his tiny wings! No one look in my direction. Did you steal a baby? Let's get you back to bed, mate. Good night, Techno. Good night, Phil. Good night, definitely not stolen baby. Good night, Wilbur. I am going to deflate. And now we close Twitter. Wait, what the muffin? There we go. It's Babybur. It's Babybur time. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. This is literally like the most fluffiest thing ever. Alright. Let's get a different lore playlist going. We'll shuffle it again. Sweeter Than Sleep by Lockergirl. The pillow at his side moved. So cute. I'm going to sleep. Good night, Phoenix. Good night, good night. The pillow at his side moved. Techno wasn't exactly at the top of his game right now. He was tired and groggy and had all sorts of instinctual hibernation gibberish clouding up his head. But he knew that bedding generally wasn't supposed to squirm around. Upon further thought, it also was not supposed to make little bah noises or pull at his shirt. With impressive haste for someone so deep into hibernation, Techno slowly lifted his head. A baby. Or, Techno is trying to hibernate. The baby-sized intruder in his bed is making that difficult. What the muffin? Emmy, stop messaging about turtles. We're reading babies. We're reading babies. We're reading baby fics right now. Yes, I have the ease chat open because I care about you guys. Blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. As a piglin hybrid, Techno had a love-hate relationship with hibernation. On one hand, it was a complete waste of his time. Being dead to the world for months on end meant countless weeks of untapped potential. Untapped potential. During which time his animals would grow restless and his ambitions would fall to the wayside. It was frustrating to be so unproductive. To trade axes and shovels for pillows and quilts. To be so weak and defenseless as his body slowly succumbed to its own exhaustion. You don't have to look, bro. I want to, though. I like to stay updated on my friends. On the other hand, it was a biological need. The same story repeated itself every year. Techno would push back the start of his hibernation for as long as possible, and as a result, he'd then be completely out cold until spring, unable to even get out of bed to stoke the fire. Luckily, he was never alone. Phil was a good man, making sure that his best friend was safe and well cared for every winter. Techno, in turn, was grateful to have the Elytrians so close, even if it meant occasionally getting woken up from a good bit of sleep. Tech, a voice whispered, stirring the hybrid from his rest. Technoblade. Techno had been dreaming of spring, of a sword in his hand and warmth on his skin. He had been dreaming of overflowing gardens and sunlit evenings, and the voice of his best friend, Phil, coaxing him gently, growing louder. Technoblade? Phil repeated, a bit more forcefully this time. Oh. Maybe Phil's voice had been real then. The hybrid cracked an eye open. Phil smiled down at him, clearly a bit tired. There you are, he whispered, voice gentle. Great. This wasn't an emergency then. Techno closed his eyes again. Phil kept talking. Sorry to disturb you while you hibernate, but I need to go get some firewood. Techno hummed some vague affirmation. Firewood was good. It was warm. You could burn it. Getting more firewood sounded like a good idea. He could hear a smile on Phil's lips. The man was asking a question. Something about leaving? Techno definitely didn't want Phil to leave, but he also didn't want the man to keep interrupting his sleep. Maybe it was just best to agree. Yeah, Techno muttered, pressing his face deeper into his pillow. Thanks, mate. Something settled against Techno's side. Probably another pillow. Phil was swell like that. I'll be back in a few. Bye, Techno groaned, settling back into his former sleeping position when the pillow at his side moved. Techno wasn't exactly at the top of his game right now. He was tired and groggy and had all sorts of instinctual hibernation gibberish clouding up his head. But he knew that bedding generally wasn't supposed to squirm around. Upon further thought, it was also not supposed to make little bah noises or pull at his shirt. With impressive haste for someone so deep into hibernation, Techno slowly lifted his head. A baby. It took Techno about 30 full seconds to process that update, during which time the infant managed to put some of the hybrid's hair into its mouth. That surprisingly was what got Techno's mind to finally leap into action. He couldn't let the kid pull out his braid with those tiny gums. Phil had worked so hard to keep it secure all winter, fixing the plates every few days with carefully placed talons. The mere idea of it coming undone. The baby was in Techno's arms before he could fully process the decision. Immediately, the hybrid fumbled for his glasses. The kid was staring up at him with big brown eyes. Impossibly big. Honestly, every part of the baby seemed to be the wrong size. Its head was too large, its limbs were too short, and its teeth were missing entirely. Even its wings, small and downy, looked like a poor approximation of Phil's, as though someone who had never seen an elytrium before had created them from vague recollections of flightless birds. The extra limbs didn't even reach to the baby's elbows. How was it supposed to fly like this? The baby made a happy gurgling sound, letting itself settle against Techno's chest. Its pudgy fingers tugged at the hybrid's shirt, like a bird clutching onto a roost. With horror, Techno realized that it was mimicking the exact thing Phil always did right before he was about to fall asleep, grabbing onto something close to make sure he was secure. Having the baby fall asleep against his chest was absolutely not an option. Techno was supposed to be the one sleeping here. Maybe Phil, if the man felt like it. Certainly not strange babies that managed to wander their way in. Hibernation dens were no place for intruders, even if this one didn't seem like an actual threat. Despite his apprehension, every instinct in Techno's body urged him to fall back asleep with the infant against his chest. Cute, they seemed to scream. Let the baby nap. So warm, so little. Protect it. Techno humored the option for a moment. What harm was a bit of extra warmth in his bed? A lot of harm, actually. Techno could roll over and crush the baby. He could knock it off the mattress in his sleep. He could doze through its whining, letting it slowly starve to death as the winter months crept past. Or even worse, the thing could keep waking him up. Reluctantly, Techno got to his feet, baby still cradled against his chest. The hybrid made sure to bring one of his quilts with him, wrapping it around his shoulders and, by extension, around the baby, like one of his many capes. He had to find Phil as soon as possible. Then, the second he pawned this baby off on his best friend, he could pass out again. It was a foolproof plan. A minute later, Techno found himself in the living room, asleep on his feet. Moving was just so hard. Every step was its own gauntlet, every creak of the floorboards an urge to get back into bed. Techno had stalled several times since leaving his bedroom, unable to get his body and mind on the same page. Coherent thoughts would come and go like snow melting into dirt. Leaving Techno's eyes drifting shut and his legs swaying weakly as he tried to recall the task at hand. Luckily, the squirming child in his arms was a good reminder. Suddenly, Techno felt a wave of cold against the back of his neck. It seemed to bite at his skin, prickling up every possible hair and goosebump. Without meaning to, he held the baby a little tighter, keeping it warm as he buried his face in its hair. "Why are you up?" A voice gasped, suddenly surging closer. Techno could hear the sound of a door closing, and with it, he could feel the disappearance of the sudden cold. Oh, Phil was back. That was good. Phil, Techno rasped, turning towards his best friend. Phil, there was a baby in my bed. The Elytrian's eyes glanced down at the infant, then back up to Techno. Yep. Techno frowned. Phil was obviously not appreciating the sheer gravity of the situation at hand. Where did it come from, Philza? Techno asked, ignoring the infant as it started chewing on its own foot. Phil gave Techno an amused look. It's my baby, Techno. That did not answer Techno's question. In fact, if anything, it only raised more. The amount of uncertainties pounding against Techno's skull were too many to parse through. Even if the baby was Phil's, it still came from somewhere. Or wait, it still... Even if the baby was Phil's, it had still come from somewhere. And as far as Techno could tell, there were no... and as far as Techno could tell, there was no mother hiding in the corners of his cabin. Unless Elytrians had suddenly developed the ability to create children from sheer willpower, that meant... Did you steal a baby? Techno asked, no horror in his voice. He was too tired to think about the implications of his question. A sprig of laughter, far too light and airy for the dead of winter, rang out from Techno's side. Somehow, Phil had managed to loop his arm around Techno's while the piglin wasn't paying attention. How sneaky of him. Let's get you back to bed, mate. Phil smiled, leading Techno back towards his room. Despite the growing mystery of the baby in Techno's arms, the hybrid couldn't help but feel relief as they stepped back into the warmth of his hibernation den. Techno hardly processed the next few moments, but before he knew it, he was back under his sheets, quilts tucked lovingly around him like snow against a hillside. As he blinked up, Techno could see Phil cooing at the baby, lifting it gently from the hybrid's grasp. Good night, Techno, Phil whispered, brushing his friend's face clear of loose hair. Techno hummed. Good night, Phil, he murmured, finally warm again. Good night, definitely not stolen baby. The piglin heard his friend chuckle. The sound almost made Techno sit up again. He wanted to grab Phil's wrist, wanted to talk to his best friend, wanted to ask more questions, but he was just too tired. Oh well. There was nothing so important that it couldn't wait until spring. Phil was close, and would settle down beside Techno eventually. That was enough. The last thing Techno heard as he drifted back towards dreaming was the sound of his best friend's voice, sweet and kind as he chirped out a lullaby. Good night, Wilbur, Phil whispered, somewhere distant. And then Techno was asleep once more. Yay! That pic is so cute! Oh my goodness. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Make sure to leave kudos on it. I'll link it real quick. So there's the Babybur fic. And then I'm gonna go ahead and link this one too. And then here's the foster fic one. Love the fluff. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. And there's the foster fic. Be sure, if you have an AO3 account, be sure to leave kudos yourself. Great stream. Aw, thanks, besties. Alright, short fic for the win. Indeed. Let's get the stream vibes. Ooh, yeah. Pog. I love this. I love doing this. Bringing the fix to you guys is one of my favorite things.